Guys, welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So for today, going to go over an article titled, I'm a single independent woman and I hate it. I'm ashamed to admit it, but it's true. Does that make me anti-feminist? And guys, we have an article here written by a woman and she's 32. And long story short, here we are with another woman that has come to realize that maybe the ideals of the feminist movement, it's not exactly what it's cracked up to be. And she's openly admitting that she's pretty much tired of being alone, tired of being that independent woman that they're trying to sell. That, she admits that she is a proud feminist, but you're going to see here later on in the article that it's not exactly her idea of what feminism is not what it really is, especially nowadays. She has what's been sold to her, but then there's what's been sold to so many and what it really is today. And like I said, she realizes it's not exactly what it's cracked up to be. And she's having regret, and she actually wants to have a guy in her life and someone that she can be with, depend on, all that, which goes completely against the whole psychotic ideology of modern feminism. And I did an article about this. I did a different article with a different woman who's 50 years old, having big regrets and realizing it was all a bunch of crap a couple weeks ago. And so now we have another woman now, she's a little bit younger, 32, and seeing her perspective. And I'm doing this, guys, aside from the entertainment factor, is to show you that more and more, as time goes on, you're going to have more and more. They're going to wake up and realize this all bullshit. This whole thing, and I'm lonely, I'm unhappy, I'm miserable. This is not all what I thought it was going to be. But as you're going to see here, she doesn't exactly, her pride definitely is involved. She doesn't exactly admit that she was totally in the wrong with this thing because, the whole accountability thing here. But anyhow, guys, I'm rambling. So I'm going to get into this, guys. You're going to see a little more of what I talk about. So it starts off, not a day goes by that I don't feel an emotional cocktail of complete freedom mixed with hatred and longing. I am, by all accounts, an independent woman. I live in Canada, where I have legal equal rights and freedoms. And she says in parentheses, the key word here is legal. Systemic barriers still remain. Well, that's the feminist in her coming out. She has to mention that. I live on my own. I'm financially independent, educated, and single. Sounds like your typical modern woman. But, she says, I am what many women all over the world dream to be. I choose what I wear, who I date, what I do for work, and how I spend my money. I have the privilege. That word is going to come up a lot, by the way. They love to use that word, privilege. I have the privilege to be youngish. Is 32 young? Well, 32 is younger to me. 32 is young to a guy in his 50s or 60s. But 32, that's past your prime. A lot of women don't want to hear that, but their prime is their late teens and 20s. You can't have damn good-looking women in their 30s or 40s, in some cases, or 50s, but they got to work their butts off to look good. Hitting the gym all the time, got to do the squats and the deadlifts and the lunges and working the rest of their body and toning those abs and eating good healthy food to stay thin, taking care of their skin, keeping their hair long, dressing well, form-fitted clothes. It takes work. And a lot of women don't want to do work. I mean, you walk, guys, it's amazing. At least where I am here in Massachusetts, and let's be honest, in Massachusetts, a lot of women look like horses around here. But you go out anywhere, and half the people, you look at the crowd, and half the people, not just women, but half the people are all overweight. They're all overweight or obese. And here, like Massachusetts women do not take care of themselves. And I mean, not all, but a lot of them don't. And it's amazing to me. And I think the ones that do are immigrants. I mean, they come from other states, But it's amazing to me. And people, they just dress like shit nowadays. It's unbelievable. And I'm going off here. But anyhow, women can look good, 30s, 40s, 50s, but they got to work at it, okay? But she's past her prime, okay? And I know a lot of gals don't want to hear it. They get pissed off about it, but it's the reality. She says, she's an independent woman. I can do what I want, when I want, and I have the financial means and education to be on my own. A privilege, I told you that word would come up a lot, a privilege that many women throughout the world don't even have access to obtaining for themselves, which is why I'm ashamed to admit it that I don't love it. Sometimes I even hate it. So you have all these, you're independent, you can do what you want when you want, all that, you're the strong independent woman, and yet you're unhappy. Imagine that. Says here, society romanticizes independent women while shaming dependent women. That is a fact. There are many ways women can practice independence. You don't have to be single. However, our boss bitch culture tells us as women we should do it all on our own. That is how you gain respect, success, and happiness. Well, who are the ones that tell you that? Okay, that narrative. Who are the ones that tell you that? And again, like the article I did 2 weeks ago, this one woman was doing this, what she describes here, her whole life. And guess what? She's alone. She's unhappy. Never had a family, never had kids, never had a husband. She now complains because she has no one to go out with to dinner with or vacations with or go to medical appointments with because of this whole ball-busting, as they say, boss bitch attitude. And I'm going to be strong, independent. And she blamed her effing mother, by the way, for her upbringing. And they're unhappy, right? A lot of guys have been talking about this for a long time. A lot of women now even actually have shows on YouTube talking about saying basically modern feminism is a bunch of crap and don't buy into it. You're later on in life, you're going to be alone and unhappy and you missed your opportunities. And I do things like this because it's screwed everything up in so many levels, in my opinion. Modern feminism has been shoved down people's throats for decades in movies, television, all that, trying to make boys act like girls and girls act like boys, and amongst many other things. And is there any wonder that it's just this distance between both and all the bullshit that's going on? So when I see articles like this and these gals realizing it's a bunch of horse crap, I do these things and cover them. She says, and so at the top of the independent woman pyramid are those who are single, financially independent, and living on their own. It's a narrative that was empowering until it wasn't anymore. There's another key buzzword, empowering. Sure, it initially started as a way to fuel women into independent life. A motivational speech, so to speak. Now it's so wrapped up in capitalism, because almost everything in our society will be eventually, even if it doesn't start that way. That it lost its power. Not only that, but it promotes the narrative that if you don't want to be independent, then there's something wrong with you. And she says in parentheses, which, by the way, as a very individualistic colonial-based belief, but that's an article for another day. Oh, for goodness sake. Yeah, pretty much nowadays, if you have a gal that pretty much, hey, I want to get married, and I want to have kids, and I want to be a good wife to my husband and a mom, and that's pretty much it, it's frowned upon, right? Because you have all these wominists, they're going to look at them like they're, how dare you? How dare you? You need to stand up and be on your own. You don't need no man. And yet, interestingly, all these types that go down this path like her, they're alone. They're unhappy, right? But remember, misery loves company. And yeah, these people that don't want to be like these feminist types, they're shamed for that. It's ridiculous. She says, and here we go, I am a proud feminist. When I say that, I'm referring to true feminism that fights for all people, men, women, and non-binary folks, not just women. That's what see, even though she's unhappy, and even though she realizes that it's not what it's cracked up to be, she can't get past her pride, and still has to admit that I'm still a true one, and I'm one for these ideals, which aren't what they are. That's what has been sold to people, the whole, equality and fighting for all people, men, women, and non-binary, whatever there. But that's not what it is. So she can't totally let go of that. Accountability and pride. She says, history has been kind to women, and we've had to fight for our rights. In fact, we are still fighting. None of us are free until we are all free. So when I say that I feel guilty for even thinking that I hate being on my own, I feel guilty. Shame. That's another big component to all this. The constant shaming of others and so forth. I feel guilty. I feel guilty. Give me a break, lady. Think for yourself. And she knows what is interesting here is that she's talking about she's the strong independent type, and she hates it. And she hates that she's alone. Okay, she needs to go with what her gut is telling her, that something's wrong here. But her mind, because she's been brainwashed by all this feminism bullshit, she can't let it go. And so she's fighting what her feelings are telling her, that she's not happy, versus what she's been programmed, what the masses, or at least the people she probably hangs out with, do. Like someone who gave me a handmade Christmas gift they spent months on, and I threw it in the trash, kind of guilty. Sometimes I ask myself if this makes me an anti-feminist. But at the end of the day, feminism is about the right to choose, which includes the right to be booed up. She says, there's a quote saying, you should be happy alone before you can be happy in a relationship. How many times have you heard this quote? On the one hand, I agree. Your happiness shouldn't be dependent on if you are in a relationship with someone. On the other hand, we are social beings. Building and maintaining relationships is vital to our happiness and well-being. Well, to some degree, yeah, you got to be happy with yourself. I agree with that. I don't care whose idea that is. You got to be happy on your own. But this idea, we are social beings, and this idea that if pretty much you shouldn't be with somebody else, which the feminist movie is trying to do, it's ridiculous. And she's obviously realizing it. She says, I have no problem There's always some noise in the background going on here. I have no problem doing things alone. In fact, I enjoy it. I will go out for dinner or a movie or go for a walk by myself and have a great time. But I don't want to do things on my own all the time. Even when I fill my schedule with friend and family dates, I still feel like something is missing. In other words, you want a man. That's what's missing. But the movement, the sisterhood, told you that you don't need no man. Right? And as she does all these things on her own. Now, I'm an independent guy, and I'll do a lot of things alone too. But I'm at a point I don't need anything or anyone, But that's just me. She says, at first I felt so ashamed by this. Romantic love isn't the key to life's happiness. But what I realized that there's a level of intimacy that you get in a romantic relationship that you don't experience in other types of relationships. So again, she cannot get past her FNS programming right here. I feel so ashamed by this. Romantic love isn't the key to life's happiness. That's her program. That's the FNS programming here. Somebody's, of course, blaring their music somewhere nearby. It says, maybe it's because I'm romantic at heart, and my love language is quality time. But I want someone to do things with. It doesn't have to be fancy. It can be grocery shopping. I just want a partner to do it with. And not just any partner. I want someone who I share a strong emotional connection with. I'm not talking about filling the proverbial box in my romantic life. I'm talking about filling it at the right way with the right person. Well, look, there's nothing wrong with that. At all. She goes on, maybe wanting a romantic relationship is totally fine. And maybe, just maybe, it has nothing to do with your independence as a woman. There's an idea, and yet you got the biggest mouse over in the feminist movement shouting otherwise. Have an idea, think for yourselves. That's what all these women need to do, but they don't. A romantic partner gives you something that your friends and family can't give you. Consistent emotional support from a singular person. That is something special about that in the little moments that you have. It's when they hype you up in the morning of a big event or welcome you home with a big hug when you've had a bad day. It could be as simple as hearing their laugh when you call to them about their funny thing that the cashier said to you at the store. Sure, family and friends can do all this, but it's the spread out between them. Well, you know what? At the end of the day, if that's what you want, then you go for it. Because you're not 50 like the story I did a couple weeks ago, but you are 32, so you can still get dudes. But that also depends on how you are as a person. Now, if you may say that's what you want to do in your life, but if you are still the stereotypical strong, independent woman, and if you're this bossy, masculine-ass, G.I. Joe, I can do anything a man can do type, you're not going to attract a lot of guys. So be aware of that, young lady, if you're going to try to get yourself a guy. No guy wants to be around some masculine woman that acts like a dude. Okay, so you may have to do some definite changes or adjustments to your personality. That's one thing to keep in mind. Everybody's busy with their own lives, work, partners, kids, etc., especially in your 30s. It's not the same as having one consistent person who is there for you. Now listen to this. This says it right here. I can do it without a man, but I don't want to. She had to make that clear. Like I said in the beginning, guys, I mean, her pride is going to keep her probably from getting where she wants if she's not careful here. Okay, she's obviously not happy. She knows something's off, something's not right, doesn't feel right, but still she cannot get that programming out of her. She's probably had this. She's 32, so she's definitely had this. I guarantee you how things have gone over the last couple decades. She's had this stuff programmed within her probably since elementary school. She says, "There it is. I said it. I can absolutely do anything without a man, but I don't want to." So she had to say that twice and make it abundantly clear. I just don't. I want a life partner. I want to do things with someone. I can't get on board the independent woman narrative because I don't want to be an independent woman. Ding, ding, ding. And there it finally comes out. She had to say all this other stuff, but it finally came. I don't want to be that. Then don't be that. Okay? I know you've been programmed by all this bullshit, but the best thing you can do is just try to deprogram yourself and go with what feels right, obviously, in that department. But you're going to have to do some major work on yourself because there's no way, even though that you may not want this, because you're realizing a lot of this is a bunch of nonsense, these ideals from the movement, from the sisterhood. Believe me, if you're walking around, like I said earlier, being this bossy, masculine-ass, G.I. Joe type of woman, it's going to turn guys off. So you're going to have some work for yourself. Says, says, I want to be free. Says, I want to be free, not independent. There's a difference. I want to have the freedom of choice and be empowered to make decisions for myself. But I don't need to do everything alone. I can pay my bills, but I don't want to. Ha ha ha, no joke there. I want to share bills with someone. I want to be part of a team. I want to contribute equally and build life with a partner I love. I feel guilty about my distaste for complete independence. Here we go again. It's so much brainwashing, so much indoctrination that she's feeling bad for actually wanting to have a dude, to actually have a guy in her life. Look, there's nothing wrong with that, okay? But that's what the brainwashing has done. But then I remind myself that it's just another box women are expected to fit into. So now we're back to her pride. It doesn't matter if you want to be fully supported by a partner or be completely independent and single. It should be an individual choice, and neither should diminish or raise your value as a woman. But we do need to give women empowered choice. She's never going to be able to shake the brainwashing out, ever. But she's realizing it's not all what it's cracked up to be. She finishes up saying, independence is not a badge of honor, and neither is freedom of choice. It's a basic human right, not something to earn, despite what our individualist society would have you believe. We need to remind ourselves that being free to choose and being independent are actually two very different things. And women should have the right to choose to be independent or not. Neither change our value to society. We are inherently worthy and whole as we are, as we choose to be. So, guys, as you can see here, the back and forth. She realizes she's unhappy. She doesn't like being alone. She doesn't like going out to eat alone and coming home alone and all that. She realizes something's up, but she cannot shake that programming. It's just keep coming back to the different things as you see the constant round. But again, this is a woman's mind. Let's be honest here. Just here, there, and everywhere, and can't make her damn mind. I mean, you can see right here. I mean, how many guys have been on a date with a girl that takes her 45 minutes to figure out what she wants to eat? Okay? Can't make up her damn mind. Well, a guy can be like, whoosh, steak, burger. Takes a girl 45 minutes to figure out what they want to freaking eat until you're like, pick something. We've all been there. But with her, it's just back and forth. But the point is this, she's having regret already. 32, she's realized this is not what it's cracked up to be. And if she can get past herself, her own pride, and the program that she had, and let that bullshit go, maybe she has a chance. But who knows? It's not like I'm going to follow up on this, but I see as more and more as time goes on, you're going to have more and more women realize at different ages, like the other video I did a few weeks ago, the woman was 50, this woman's 32, is that this whole nonsense that the sisterhood has been feeding us isn't exactly what it's cracked up to be. A lot of it's bullshit, what they've been selling us, because she still sticks to what has been sold to her, but about the whole, like, this is equality for all, men, women, and non-binary people, and things like that. But we know what it really is. Emasculating men, bashing men, and trying to make the genders equal and all this other crap. And what's that got? Where are we right now? It's a freaking mess out there. But anyhow, that's another conversation for another day. So, all right, guys, that's it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. And be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. I'll catch you next time.